once, but my ass.
I'm only four. Bonjour, Monsieur Pussycat.
Cracking toast, Pollute.
Start spreading the news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the short podcast about short films. I'm your host, and we're discussing the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. Today's episode is about the 79th year of the award at the 83rd Academy Awards, which celebrates the films of 2010. Today's guest is appearing for the 7th time. You last heard him only a month ago talking about the Danish poet and the nominees of 2006. Please welcome back Gordon McNulty. Hello, Gordon.
Hello. Thank you for having me back, as always. Always a fun time to be back on the show.
It's an honor to have you back. You've been one of my recurring guests, one of my favorite guests, even we could say.
Thank you.
Hey, just ever since the 1930s, you were here, and just what a ride we've been on. And it's like you still have a couple more episodes left. It's just like
Yeah,
we're nearing the end.
we are, but we've got two that we're recording today.
Yeah.
So
And
there's the best is yet to come.
yeah, and I
Hopefully.
was about to say, just like this is kind of the second part of a two-part crossover episode. The very much the That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana for Oscar podcasts. So if you
Exactly.
want to listen to the first episode we recorded today, go over to Gordon's podcast, Lone. What is it? What's the official name?
The Lone Acting Nominees
Lone
is the
Acting
name of that
Nominees
show.
podcast, where we talk about Escape Me Never, or as just go into Elizabeth Bergner and try to think of what else even is in that movie.
Yeah, listen to me flounder for probably too long, just trying to describe the plot of the movie.
And I give him no help whatsoever because I barely know the plot of the movie
There's
either,
no help to
even though
give.
we both watched it very today.
I watched it and then immediately sat down and started recording and then had trouble recalling the plot of the movie. It's a fun episode. Go give it a listen after you listen to this one. Listen to this one first.
Or at least
If you're already
hopefully it's
listening
fun.
to it. Yeah.
But yeah, you can stop this one. I give you permission to stop this episode. Go listen to that one. Or if you want to just have a bit of fun with it, listen to this one first. Then go listen to the other one. Just
Or
listen to them out of order.
listen to them at the same time.
Ooh.
Just sort of have us both talking in your ears at the same time, just completely unintelligible.
Like what? So we got one headphone that's got this episode, one
Ooh.
headphone that's got that episode, and you have a speaker that's playing Dark Side of the Moon, and see if it all syncs up.
Exactly.
Or you could even just wait like a month and listen to the next Gordon episode and listen to that one first, and then go back to these two, and just completely ruin everything.
Like Memento.
Exactly.
Let's do a Memento watch for these three podcasts about unrelated movies.
With Dark Side of the Moon.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. But anyway, Gordon, remind us, what is your familiarity with the best animated short category?
I like cartoons. I think at this point I've been on enough episodes and I have forgotten the things that I've already said or not said. So I've watched a bunch of these cartoons. I'd seen 3 of these in this category beforehand. So at least as far as familiarity with this one particular lineup, the reason I picked it for whatever reason is because of Let's Pollute, which is a short I have no real strong opinion about. It's just one that I've seen. But I'm excited to be talking about this year because there's some interesting ones in there.
Yeah, I remember like when I've told you that like this is gonna be one of your episodes. It's like you're always like surprised. And it's like, wait, why did I pick this year? It's because Let's Pollute? Really?
Yeah,
And it's like, because
genuinely, I don't remember why I picked this, why I wanted to talk about Let's Pollute.
well, it's because the reason it happened was because this was back when we were recording the 1930s, and you were
Really?
like, and I asked you like, hey, is there any of these lineups that you would want to cover? And you first picked 2015, the World of Tomorrow year, and then you were like, hey, I've also seen Let's Pollute. I can also do that one. And I was like, okay, I give you that
Sure.
year. Here, and then it's like, and then I also ended up giving you another year because of Little Match Girl. And so it's
Yeah,
just like you just got three of like the most coveted years. Not really, but late years where it's like it's harder to get where there's more people who want to get spots. It's just like
yeah.
which we'll
Well,
talk about more on the next episode, but
yeah. I appreciate you honoring that tossed off. Sure, I'll talk about Let's Pollute. I appreciate
hey,
that. Thank you.
I whenever somebody says they want an episode, if it's open, they're getting that episode. It's
That's
just like
fair.
I'm not gonna like disappoint people that way unless I've already made a promise to somebody else.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's just get into the meat of this podcast now. But before we even get into that, though,
Oh no.
this is a short film centric podcast, but there's also a Best Animated Feature category at the Academy Awards.
All
So, to be
right.
fair to them, Gordon, I'm going to list off the names of the nominees for Best Animated Feature this year. I want you to tell me in just one word what you think of them, or
Oh
simply
right.
say you haven't seen it. Are you ready?
Sure.
So, number one, we have the winner, which is Toy Story 3.
Ned Beatty.
Ned Beatty. All right. Number two, we have How to Train Your Dragon.
Um, Ian McShane.
And number three, we have The Illusionist.
Haven't seen it, but somebody French.
All
Actually,
right.
no. I retract my statement. Edward Norton.
I knew you were going to. I thought this was going to be your first thing when you say you haven't seen it, but then it's just like, oh, there you go. You went back.
I did.
Anyway, let's move on from that. Let's go into our
So
first nominee.
real quick, I forgot Tangled wasn't nominated. That must have been a big thing at the time, right?
I mean,
Probably
probably because it got like the
got
best
a song
original
nomination.
song nomination. But yeah, it was a big movie. But there's only three nominees, which is,
That's weird.
weird.
What other animated movies were in this year? I'm just gonna look this up while you talk about the thing so I don't waste too much time on it. But
Okay. I'll get into our first nominee and the year's winner, which is The Lost Thing, directed by Andrew Ruman and Sean Tan. This is the first and only nominations for Ruman and Tan, and the film itself is based on a book of the same name by Tan. Sean Tan is primarily an illustrator and children's book author by trade, loving to draw ever since he was a child and getting a degree in fine arts from the University of Western Australia. After college, he worked primarily as an illustrator on books by other Australian writers, but published his first book in the year 2000, that being The Lost Thing. It was a successful book, and Tan kept publishing more, including The Red Tree and The Arrival, and keeps writing books to this day. But we're here to talk about films, so let's see where Ruman fits into the picture. Andrew Ruman doesn't seem to be much of an animator or even director. His career is filled with producing. His first step on the career ladder was working at the Richard Williams studio in London, slowly climbing the rungs there, and even oversaw production of the animation for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He then left Williams and made his own studio, Passion Pictures, which originally focused on animation, but soon would branch out into documentary films. The Lost Thing isn't even the company's only Oscar win. They made two Oscar-winning documentaries, One Day in September and Searching for Sugar Man. They also, of course, made plenty of music videos, working with Gorillaz, Coldplay, REM, Robbie Williams, Radiohead, and more. And lastly, tons and tons of commercials, because no animation studio can truly survive without making commercials. But Ruman was always only an executive producer on these projects, seemingly having very little involvement in anything. How did Ruman become a film director? Well, the story goes that simply Ruman had read The Lost Thing at Bologna Book Fair, where it had won an award, and was just inspired to get it made. He contacted Australian producer Sophie Byrne to get in touch with Sean Tan to get both of them to help make the film. Byrne was enthusiastic, Tan was reluctant, but was eventually convinced after watching Passion Film's previous work. The three of them, along with CG artist Tom Bryant and animator Leo Baker, were the core team around the film. The main challenge of it was the mere fact that The Lost Thing, despite being set in somewhat fantastical world, is a very restrained story with very little emotion in it by design. The film is about apathy, according to Tan, and the struggle comes from depicting it without making the audience feel apathetic themselves. Well, let's see if they succeeded. Featuring the voice of Tim Minchin, The Lost Thing is about a man who collects bottle tops, suddenly finding the lost thing, some kind of movable mechanical creature that acts like a dog. The main character tries to figure out what the lost thing is and where it came from, but all searches come up with nothing. One day, the man sees an ad for a government service that takes care of lost things and goes to visit it, but gets told by a stranger to try somewhere else, someplace that'll be more kind to it, and is led to a sanctuary for lost things. Gordon, what did you think of The Lost Thing? And also, do you have more news on Rapunzel for us? Or Tangled?
I do. I looked up some other movies. There's like some big ones aside from Tangled. Also, Megamind was this year, didn't get
Oh yeah.
nominated. The first Despicable Me was in this year and didn't get nominated. Shrek Forever After, The Secret World of Arrietty, which may or may not have been eligible in this year, but wasn't nominated the year afterwards either. Legend of the Guardians: The Owls of Ga'Hoole. A Cat in Paris, which does get a nomination the next year, so that's probably just a release thing. Something called Chico and Rita, which was
That was also next year.
that makes sense. And then Alpha and Omega, which doesn't appear to be good, but is a movie I remember trailers for at the time.
It's weird how, like, I don't understand why there was only three nominees this year. Or I
It might
wonder,
just be a thing where like how in the next year how there's only two song nominees, just weren't enough votes. Like there just wasn't enough passion behind any of the others that they got enough votes to be considered.
well, with the song thing, it's because there wasn't enough submissions, I'm pretty
That's
sure.
fair.
But it's just like I feel like there was enough animated features in 2010, unless there just wasn't, and I'm just like
I mean,
not aware.
Tangled and Despicable Me were both huge hits, and so was Megamind. Uh, Tangled is the more surprising one because like Despicable Me is Illumination, and Megamind is also Illumination.
Yeah, just thinking that the Illusionist got in over Tangled and Megamind and everything. It's just like,
Weird.
what's going on? What are we
Uh,
doing here?
yeah. Speaking of what are we doing here? If you couldn't tell, I don't really have much to say about the Lost Thing.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's it's fine. The animation's good partially. I like the animation of the Lost Thing and of the other things. When the short does go into like the world of Lost Things and you have like 2.5 minutes of just a bunch of weird looking robot alien type
Hmm.
monster creatures just sort of floating around in there. That stuff was good. All the other stuff is just like it kind of meanders. The music is kind of sappy. The character design is really like bland and like not unsettling. It's not creepy. It's just like, why do these people look like that? That
Hmm.
was maybe my biggest issue with the whole short is like, why do these people look like that? Because it's just a really like weird cylindrical head shape for all the characters, and it makes it just, I don't know, bad to look at. It was at a certain point, they're spending so much time on the guy, the like kid,
Hmm.
and just sort of have the thing in the background. And I just don't care, and I don't want to look at his stupid face.
Yeah, this is like I don't really know what this is really trying to do. Like I know it just actually scratch that. That's not what I mean to say. What I mean to say is that this is such like just a generic idea of what a kid's story is. It's
Yeah.
just like it's just this very generic thing where it's like person finds thing, person learns to like thing, and that's it. And it's just like it's just a very generic story, like moral about like pay attention to things around you. And it's like, and I even like after I watched the movie, I looked up what is the moral of the lost thing because I was thinking just like there's got to be something deeper to this than just like pay attention to things or like don't look away or like whatever it is. It's just like no, that's literally the whole thing. It's like it's just like in a later episode we're about to do, it's like there's stories that like have deeper things about like about like the culture of like like we're going to talk about Bear's story on our next episode, and that's like secretly about like the Chilean coup d'etat and things like that. And I was like wondering like maybe there's something that was going on in Australia around this time or something Australian history about like how like maybe it's about like how Australians treated like the Aboriginal peoples or something like that. But no,
or or refugees or immigrants or
yeah,
anything.
anything.
And it's
But
just like, no, pay attention to things and Don't litter? Question
Yeah,
mark.
just don't and don't trust the government maybe, but I don't even think that was an intended message.
No, it's just really what it feels like is like, well, we can't just make a short that's weird, fucked up creature designs flying around for 15 minutes. So let's put 10 minutes of I don't know, kid learns a lesson about appreciating things and it's a stray dog.
Yeah,
What if a stray dog was a big machine?
and also it's funny that this is literally like a later Best Animated Short winner also. Oh, because there's Mr. Hooplo, which is also about a robot guy who finds a robot dog and takes care of it.
Yeah. It
Eh,
like I don't know. I mean, it's also partially just the Iron Giant, but like even less in like not even less interesting as if the Iron Giant isn't interesting. I love the Iron Giant, but like what if a kid found a big like alien robot thing that was nice to him and he has to hide it, kind of.
Yeah, it's like the but the thing is it's like it's not like he even really tries to hide it. It's just kind of annoying. It's like he doesn't
Yeah.
hide it from his parents. He directly brings them to the living room and they're annoyed by it. And it's like,
And
okay, I'll put you in the shed. And it's like,
yeah.
okay, I gotta take you away now. No, and it's just like it like
Also,
literally the plot of this short is guy fights thing, guy takes it home. It doesn't really belong at home, so he's like, okay, maybe I'll have the government deal with it. It's just like he goes to the government, and then there's the janitor who's like, don't give it to the government,
the
give it
janitor
to
who's like
this
maybe
place.
a dinosaur
He might
guy,
be a lost thing himself.
the little lizardman.
I don't know, but either
I
way,
don't know.
the janitor's like, don't do it here. Here's an arrow that points to where you're supposed to go. And then he goes there. He brings the lost thing to a farm upstate and lets it go free. And that's the ending. It's just like
Yeah.
it there's it's just nothing really. And it's like I do like the design of the like you were saying. I like the design of the creatures. And it's like while I didn't mind the design of the people, I think there was just something this is very 2010 computer graphics animation,
Yeah.
like low funded computer graphics to the
And
point
the
where it
like
doesn't look that good.
all the movement from the people is very like it just feels like it's not very well animated for the people who are most of the short. Uh
Mhm.
Also the music, like the music's really mostly bad and saccharine, and I wouldn't have been surprised if after 14 minutes it was just like Toyota, let's go places. Like it feels like car commercial
Yes,
music.
actually, yes, that's a perfect way to describe it. It
It's
feels like
like
a sponsored short.
it's music from oh yeah, we've heard Pixar scores. We Up was really big last year. Let's see if we can like no how close can we get to that Michael Giacchino score without getting sued? It's just real like and then it doesn't help that the narrator is so like sleepy through his lines, just like, well, I was going to the beach to get some bottle tops and found a thing. Didn't know what it was. So I touched it and it moved a little. And then nobody wanted it, so I just took it home like a dog. And it's just that emotion the entire time. And then, well, I don't see things anymore. I wonder if they're gone. Or I wonder if I stopped paying attention. Movie's over.
Maybe I'm a
It's
dick now. Who knows?
maybe it's because I'm always looking at my GD phone.
He's too obsessed with those bottle caps. He got distracted again.
Yeah. This is I don't know why this one won. This is just
Yeah,
like I mean, we'll talk about all of the others, obviously, but like it's not more impressive on an animation level or a story level or like what is it about this movie that puts it above any of the others? Not to spoil my ranking too much, but like why how can you watch this and any of the other four? Like just like putting it up against any one of them and end up with more appreciation for the lost thing.
yeah. And it's like I'm thinking about like even like just not to spoil my ranking or anything, but I'm just thinking about like the Academy like does have a like things that it wants in a best animated short one. It wants it to be family friendly. It wants it,
Yeah.
it usually wants like a good message with it. But even then, it's just like you have stuff like Day and Night, where that's like a Pixar short, obviously family friendly, already has like a big audience, already well campaigned. So it's like that seems like kind of obvious winner pick. But maybe they also don't really give Pixar the win that often. So maybe it will go to the Gruffalo, which is also based on a children's book, has a nice little moral to it, it has like nice animation, and it's also it's like maybe that one's just too long for them. Maybe they don't want to give a 30-minute movie a winner. So we could also do Let's Pollute, family friendly, has a nice message about environmentalism, but also that's kind of a smaller movie. So then we go to Madagascar Journey Diary. That wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
So I guess the Lost Thing's just the one that's left, I guess. But even
I
then,
Yes, but come on.
I don't know. It's this just isn't really a passionate year out of all of them.
I guess.
Like
Yeah.
like the one that is my favorite, or maybe the ones we'll get to that when we get to that. But it's just like even those ones, I'm like, yeah, I don't really need it to win, but it's still I just like it. It's just
Yeah.
like, but yeah. But for this one, it's
Yeah.
whatever. It's
Yeah, I guess.
it's maybe the worst winner of this decade in terms of this category.
That wouldn't surprise me. I don't think I've seen all of the winners, but like it would have to be like actively bad because this isn't actively bad. It's just like nothing.
Oh yeah, like I'm just double checking the winners, and yeah, it is my lowest ranked winner of this specific decade, not including the 2020s because those ones are terrible. But
Yeah.
for this decade, uh, the only ones I haven't rewatched yet are Piper, Bow, and Dear Basketball and Hair Love. But all of those, I'm pretty sure are going to stay as high as they are, or at least won't droop this low.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
I I haven't seen Dear Basketball, but those other three I remember being good.
but yeah.
So I can't remember, I can't imagine remembering much of anything about The Lost Thing
Mhm.
like a week from now. By the time this episode comes out tomorrow, you could ask me on the street, "Hey, what'd you think of The Lost Thing?" And I'd be like, "What are you talking about? What
Yeah,
is that? What does that mean?"
Did you lose something? Do you need help finding it?
Yeah, can I help you? Do I know you? Who are you? Why are you talking to me?
Get out of my house.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh,
Anyway, that's
we'll move
I
on.
had yes, let's talk about four
Our
pretty good shorts.
our second nominee, which is Day and Night, directed by Teddy Newton. This is the first and only Oscar nomination for Newton, but the 10th nomination for Pixar. There isn't really complete biography for Newton, but from what I can tell, there's a typical story here from him. I think he graduated college around 1995 and found himself jumping around as a freelance storyboard artist and character designer, eventually thinking he's got himself a nice gig at Warner Brothers Animation until that studio shuttered after the failure of Osmosis Jones. He follows Brad Bird over to Pixar Animation, works on various projects in various capacities, including as a voice actor, and eventually, after enough floundering, John Lasseter grants him the chance to make a short film. Beyond the short and the Oscar nomination, Ted Newton was floated around to direct a feature film, but that never came to fruition, and I believe he left Pixar around 2015. He did some minor work on films like Trolls, Smallfoot, and the Lego Movie 2, but never got to do anything major. He was attached to the film Sneaks, but that seems to be an eternal development hell, and he was replaced on the project. He was also attached to write and direct the Funko Pop movie alongside Mark Dindal, but that also seems to be in development hell. So let's just instead go back to his one successful project, Day and Night, which originated from Pixar wanting to experiment with 3D animation in different ways, and Teddy Newton pitched an idea of cutout animation, which Lasseter really liked, and then he offered up an idea involving a personified day and night being jealous of each other's realms, which Lasseter also really liked, so the short was fully greenlit. The short is also unique for its usage of 2D animation along with 3D. The characters of Night and Day are animated in 2D, while the worlds they show are in 3D. Newton commented on how the film was not only challenging on a technical level, managing the different layers of the film and having to create all the different environments seen within it, but also just getting enough 3D animators who had likely been trained on 2D animation to go back to 2D. Some were excited to stretch those muscles again, others were terrified, but in the end, they say they're proud of the work they did. Day and Night is about two physical embodiments of day and night, acting as windows into their realm, encountering each other, at first fighting, but then getting envious of what the other has, and then just learning to love each other. So, I really like this one. I think it's very creative for what it's doing. I really like the animation style. Well, I think it has a very nice energy to it. It doesn't last too long. I think it's only like 5 minutes, if that, and a lot of that is credits also. Uh, but it's just a short little thing. It at points it feels like a tech demo where it's just like they wanted to do these little like flourishes with the technology or whatever, just see what else they can do. But also, I just think it's fun. I think
Yeah.
I really love how they don't have voices, but instead just do sound effects. That shit goes all the way back to fucking Gerald McBoing Boing. But I I still really like it here. It's really creative. And it's like, God, I just really like this one. It
Yeah.
isn't a deep movie or anything, but it's fun. I like it.
It's a lot of fun. Like I mean the sound effects, they get real creative with like I think Night laughs at day and like a string of ducks walk by and they're quacking to be his laughter. One of them is punching the other and the sound effect is like a lumberjack hacking at a tree and then the tree falls down as the guy falls down. Uh this is a rarity for us. We're talking about equally sized guys.
Yes. It's not a big guy and little guy. It's just a two guys.
Yeah, two equally sized guys fighting each other and then learning to love each other. And
Hmm.
that's what I think the real message of this whole podcast is if you are dating someone that isn't your exact height, uh you're gonna fight. You're only compatible with people who are the exact same size as you. And that is a maxim of life that I am, and I imagine you also are standing for on this podcast.
Hmm.
Justice, yeah, I don't know where this bit is going.
But the thing is, it's like they were the same height, but they fought anyway, though. Like
That's true,
there's a very significant that they fought.
but they learned to get along. And guys of different sizes, historically, Tom and Jerry, Tweety Bird and Sylvester, uh, others, they don't get along. As it's not what nature intended.
Hmm.
I don't know why this is the joke I've decided to stick my flag in the mud for, but I don't know. Let's talk about the short we're talking about,
Yeah,
shall we?
and any of the particular gags you thought were really good.
Uh, I do like that Knight gets like the first thing that makes Knight really jealous is there's a babe on the beach sun tanning
And
and he
you get
really
the wolf howl and
yeah,
everything.
you do. That's good. And then he tries to jump in front of Day and then there's no babe anymore. It's just a night beach.
Hmm.
And
Night Beach, that's my new favorite procedural on NBC.
Night Beach. Dun, dun.
Dun dun.
Yeah. Um yeah, there's a bunch of little gags like that while they're fighting that I think are fun. The lumberjack one is one of the ones I wrote down that I thought was a good little like visual and auditory gag. I also like when they're friends and they're doing like Las Vegas and it's
Yeah.
the exact same on both of them because that was a good joke that I think went well. The fireworks and the I
Like
didn't
when
write
they
down that
start
many.
dancing with each other, that's a really good bit.
Yes,
You got the music and everything. It works. Like this short is just executed like exactly how it should be.
exactly.
It
Yeah.
moves in such a great pace. Everything is just so tight with it. It's just like it knows exactly what it's doing and it does it perfectly well.
The jokes are good, the timing is good. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It knows it's very well paced. I also do like that once they start getting along, I think it's once they start getting along and they go back to the babe on the beach and Day is like, "Hey, get a load of this. I'm gonna go to a pool with a whole bunch of babes." Like I'm glad these personified blobs of time get to be horny.
It is like thinking about it. It's just like, why are they attracted to human women anyway?
Who
It's
knows? Who
just
knows?
it actually in their world, they're a pervert.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want Day to be looking at me while I'm taking a bath or whatever.
Hmm.
Is that what's happening? Is
I mean, while you're swimming or whatever,
I guess I don't know. I don't
while
know.
you're
At all.
sunbathing.
Yeah. I can't escape. Day or night. Literally, they're always watching.
It's and then it just becomes that one like meme picture where you're pointing a gun at the sun, just like
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I don't have that many notes because, like you said, it's not really trying to do much beyond the basic premise, and it does the premise very well. And it's a fun time.
I do just want to like emphasize just like in the behind the scenes footage, like how like annoyed like everybody was when I was like reading up on interviews, like how much work they had to do to animate every single environment for this
Yeah,
fucking movie.
that's
It's
fair.
just like having to do like two versions of Vegas and then like all these different like hills and pools and everything. And it's like the cliff and the lumberjack and it's all like it takes so much work. And they were like comparing it to La Luna, which was being kind of worked on at the same time. And it's like
Yeah,
that movie has two environments, three characters, and that's it. It's
yeah,
just like, and also just like having to do the 2D animation as well. It's just like it's all just com it's just so much for them. And then they just look over at Enrico Casarosa over there, and he's just chilling out, just like
hell yeah.
easiest job in the world.
I did also, there was one other gag that I did write down in my notes that I forgot about, which I don't remember which one of them it is. It doesn't really matter, but one of them like rubs their eyes to like get a better look at something, and a bike is like the wheels of the
Yes,
bike uh
as the
riding by.
rubbing it squeaks. It's
Yeah,
really,
it's
really good.
a good little bit there. But yeah, I don't have anything else written down about it. It's fun.
Yeah, it's
Fun
like
one.
these perfect like 1950s style gags. It's just like
Yeah,
they got the comedy just right for this. Yes, even if
totally.
it's a tiny bit misogynistic, but you know what? It's
Yeah.
you it whatever. Everything's got problems.
Yeah. And then Toy Story 3 follows, right? This was, I
Yeah.
imagine,
Well,
attached to
yeah,
Toy
this
Story
was the
3.
movie that
Yeah.
won that you
Yeah,
we
I mean
just talked
like
about it.
I was gonna say like there weren't like two Pixar movies in this year and I'm forgetting one of them. But
No, you
no, I
looked them up
yeah.
all.
That's true. I did look up all of the animated movies of the year. I did just do that. I have no excuses. I'm sorry. Listeners, I would like to formally apologize for my
It's
mistake.
it's a long recording session today, and bet your ass that 2015 is going to be even more woozy, which
Oh yeah.
is going to be rough considering we have to talk about World of Tomorrow. And it's just like that's the last movie
We
we're talking
yeah,
about.
but the other thing about it is we get to talk about World of Tomorrow. So like
True,
that makes up for having to do all of this in a row. Is we get to talk about World of
but
Tomorrow.
I'm just saying we're going to be a bit woozy when we're talking about it.
Yes, definitely.
Like we might not be able to give it the proper respect it deserves.
Might have to take a quick little break just to like get up and stretch our legs.
Mhm. Anyway, I think that's a good place to move on to our third nominee, which is The Gruffalo, directed by Jacob Shook and Max Lang. This is the first but not final nomination for both Sha and Lang, as well as for Magic Light Pictures. Martin Pope and Michael Rose founded Magic Light Pictures in 2003, both of whom were veterans in British television. And the company specializes in making TV specials based on children's books, in particular the books of Julia Donaldson and Alex Scheffler, of which the Gruffalo was the first. Sha and Lang are two German animators that I can find very little about prior to their work with Magic Light Pictures and the Gruffalo, which just makes things very difficult for me. However, I have the making of the film. Jacob Sha was approached by Michael Rose first, completely unaware that the Gruffalo was apparently a massive phenomenon in the UK, and also that Rose did not even have the rights to the Gruffalo nor the funding to make it. But Shaw was interested, and in 2007, they actually did have the rights and the funding in order to begin production. There was big budgets for the voice cast, but little budget for the animation, and Shaw comments on how that while stop motion might have been appealing to do for the film, it was simply not practical for the scale Magic Light Pictures had. Meanwhile, the voice cast includes Helena Bonham Carter, James Corden, Tom Wilkinson, John Hurt, Rob Brydon, and Robbie Coltrane. But regardless, the film was a success, airing on BBC on Christmas Day in 2009, and gave Magic Light Pictures the support to do this exact same thing again and again, spurring a trend in the best animated short category of overlong British TV specials adapting children's picture books in the most meandering way possible. But let's find out how we really feel about this. The Gruffalo begins with a squirrel telling her children the story of a mouse traveling through a deep, dark wood, desperately in search of some food. The helpless mouse encounters some terrible creatures, some who would want to eat first. So, to save his hide, the mouse makes up a little lie and tells them all of a Gruffalo. He talks of its tusks and its claws, its evil lies, and its massive jaw. He's actually meeting the Gruffalo on this podcast, and his favorite food is Gordon hash. They're all
Oh
struck with
no,
fear and off they go. Gordon, what did you think of the Gruffalo?
I liked it. It's fun. It's a cute little short. Not little. It's like half an hour.
It is half
Um,
an hour.
this is one of the ones that I'd seen before. Probably around this time. I think we like rented it at like Family Video, I guess, which speaks to the reach of the movie that it got some sort of release physically that I was able to rent. Um, it's fun. It's cute. Uh, the that you talk about it as spurring on this group doing other animated shorts based on children's books with big casts. These are the people that did that one, right?
They did not do
Okay.
that
The boy
one,
the boy
but this
the
is yeah, they didn't do that one, but they have done two other Best Animated Short nominees. They did Room on the Broom and Revolting Rhymes.
fair.
And
Okay.
Revolting Rhymes is actually good. Room on
Yeah.
the Broom, less so.
As far as animated shorts about a little guy encountering three animals and stuff happening from it, I vastly prefer this one to the boy and the other
The
things.
Boy, the Mole, the
That
Fox, and the Horse.
yeah, I also just didn't want to dignify that I just don't want to
I
acknowledge
talk
that
about it
short
way
by
too much already. I just accept it at this point because
it's
everything I like gets compared positively against it, and everything I hate gets compared like as the same level on it. So it's just like I
that's
keep
fair.
bringing it up.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good reason to bring up that short, if there's one to begin with. No, I think this is a good short. I think it's fun. I think James Corden should have stuck to voicing little rascally animals, and that would have been a good career move for him
Oh,
because
definitely.
he's got a good voice for it. He fits as this like he's fun. He's got it's a good voice performance from him. I mean, it's a good voice performance from everyone. Tom Wilkinson is fun as the fox. John Hurt as the owl. Rob Brydon is the one that's playing the snake, right?
I'm pretty sure. And then Robbie
Robbie
Coltrane
Coltrane is the
is the
Gruffalo.
Gruffalo.
Yeah. R.I.P. to Hurt and Coltrane and Wilkinson, all from this cast, which
Damn.
is a shame. But yeah, it's a good, fun little short. Uh, it's also like Night and Day or Day and Night, not aspiring to that much. It's just trying to be a fun little like sweet half hour for kids, and it does a very good job of that.
I kind of agree. Like I did kind of write that the description of it in a very negative mindset, but this film isn't really the problem. This
Yeah,
film like is the better example that it's like, oh, let's make all these other ones that are just like it, and then the quality dwindles from there.
yeah,
Because I think this, first of all, I do like the style of it. I think the environments are fantastic because they're like they built all these environments, but then just put CG characters in them.
yeah,
And it's like it's a bit, I really love the details on them. Uh, and like the animation of the characters, it's a bit generic, but I think it looks nice enough.
yeah.
It worked, and the environments help like keep the characters kind of a bit more alive. But
And
then
there's some good moments of expressiveness from. I like when the snake first shows up, and it's like anytime the snake is about to eat the mouse and its eyes are just pointing straight out. I think that's like it's pretty cheap animation generally, like you said, not a particularly high budget, but like they do a good job with the characters that are meant to be especially expressive. Like the Gruffalo itself is, I mean, this is the ultimate big guy, little guy. We have a great big Gruffalo and a
Exactly.
little tiny mouse. Uh, but yeah, it's not like the most technically impressive of this bunch. Uh, I liked the animation more than I liked the animation for The Lost Thing,
Hmm.
uh, which had some good moments and some bad, like some that had good animation and bad animation. And this is just like it's pleasant all the way through.
Yeah. It keeps a standard. And it's like, and a lot of the things that the successors of the Gruffalo have a problem with is that they are way too long and they get so repetitive. And it's like, while the Gruffalo does that have repetitiveness, like, of course, it's based on a children's book, but it can get very tiring, especially when dragged out to 30 minutes. But the thing that the Gruffalo has well is first, it has actually two different repetitive things. It has the first sequence leading up to meeting the Gruffalo, and then it has going back and meeting the characters again, and it's like when they see the Gruffalo. And it's like that simple, like two different things that helps it so much in staying like tolerable. Well, it's just
Yeah.
like it doesn't get it's not like the whole thing is just the same repeated sequences like with some of those later ones. And then
And it also never has what's the bravest thing you ever did? Saying that I needed help. And that it's so fucking bad.
oh my
Uh,
God.
I can't have we said that I'm doing that episode?
You're not doing that episode
Okay.
actually.
Okay. Okay. I couldn't remember if that was one of the ones we had said for future
So
or
like
not.
you
Okay.
were in the lineup for doing that episode. So like the 2020s episodes is going to be the four most guested people. And it's like you are one of them. And I finally figured the lineup for it. I've got the like who's going to do what episode. And
Yeah.
you're going to be doing the 2020 episode. If anything happens, I love you. Which is also
Well,
not very good. But then
also
again,
not a good winner, but that's the year of opera, right?
yeah, that's opera.
Okay, so at least I
That's
get so okay. It is a good trade-off because I do love the ice merchants and would have liked to talk about ice merchants, but opera is also a really good one. So I'm not sacrificing a uh favorite nominee for a category that doesn't have one in there. So okay,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
Um,
you have a good lineup. Like besides that
yeah,
winner, well, there's also Yes People, but with
there's
Opera
also yes people.
And Genus Loci and Burrow, those are all very good.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you're,
okay.
but anyway, um, Gruffalo. The second thing that like it, so with the way that these films tend to pad themselves out is just by having these silent, just kind of like wandering around the wilderness scenes or whatever. And I think, at least for this one, it just feels more like world building or just like it just getting yourself into the environment and less very clearly, we're trying to make this 30 minutes. Please just let us do nothing for a little bit. And it's like
It
it feels purposeful in this one where it's like the other ones it's just like something they feel forced to do.
it also gets at that by having those scenes of the mouse wandering not just be, oh, well, he's going to wander. Like there's a lot of parts where it's seeing other little tiny animals getting eaten. You
Mhm.
see the fish get picked up by the crane in the lake, and you see the frog that you think just has a long tongue out, and it's nope, it's eating a worm. And there's just like little bits like that that are like adding to the like tension in as much as there is tension for like a kid. A kid
Mhm.
watching this is going to be like, oh, that's scary. And it's good stuff like that that also, works. It works. It's not just, and then the mouse walked until he found another obstacle.
Exactly. It keep it does this genre well. And it's like this isn't a very prestigious genre. It's not a very good genre, but but the Gruffalo does it well. And it's
Yeah.
just like I wish more of them were like the Gruffalo and not like Room on the Broom or the other one. And it's
Yeah.
just like, and also, I didn't mention this in the paragraph, but do feel like I should point out that there is a sequel called The Gruffalo's Child, I think, which confirms that the Gruffalo does
It,
indeed fuck.
the
Uh,
Gruffalo fucks.
hmm I don't know who he fucked because if I remember correctly, it's just the Gruffalo and his daughter, I'm pretty sure. Or it's just like, and and though I haven't watched it, was reading the plot, and it's just like it's about the Gruffalo's child like trying to find the big bad mouse that scared her dad. And it's just like that
Oh,
sounds cute. It's like, but also
yeah,
I feel like I would probably just want to read the book and not like watch the 30-minute special because I feel like from what I read, it's going to be very repetitive and bad. So it's just like
that's
I'd rather
fair.
just read the book.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Gruffalo fever has taken the nation by storm.
The
Um,
nation being the UK.
yes, yes, that nation. Um, uh, what would you rather watch, The Gruffalo or Thug Ruffalo, which is a movie where Mark Ruffalo plays a gangster?
I mean, you know what?
I'd watch Thug Ruffalo.
I'd watch Thug Ruffalo. It's like it's the same cast. Like you have James Corden, but it's like instead
James
of
Corden playing Mark Ruffalo.
no, I just mean like it's the same thing as the
Oi,
Gruffalo,
mate,
except instead of the
I was
Gruffalo,
in You
it's
Can Count
Thug
on Me.
Ruffalo.
This is one of many nothing bits that I've brought to the table here.
I,
I would, yeah,
I'm glad you're pitching things. It's what we bring you here for. It's like it's
yeah.
we enjoy your tangents. It's
They can't
I
all be big guy, little guy.
I mean, but Thug Ruffalo is still very, very good. I really like the image of a movie just called Thug Ruffalo, where it's just like it's Mark Ruffalo literally playing Mark Ruffalo, except he's a thug now.
Yeah,
And I'm imagining it's like a very like a British, like modern day, like he's very like Cockney accent and everything. But it's God,
it's so stupid.
Thug Ruffalo.
Thug Ruffalo.
Oh,
I
and
didn't even write that note down while watching the thing. That was something I thought of while you were just doing the rundown for the movie. I was like, huh, what if there was a thing called Thug Ruffalo?
I also want to say I spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to think of rhymes for that little paragraph. And it's like as I was reading it out loud for that, I realized it didn't even rhyme well. It's just
Hey, I mean, it doesn't have to.
like it, at least by the end of it, it's just like when I was able to get it because most of those lines were ripped from the book anyway, but
Yeah,
or the short anyway. But it's just like I like the whole plot description was supposed to rhyme, but it just didn't.
that's fair. I mean, that's a big task to throw on yourself. I don't blame you for. I mean, remember when we did the Nell episode of my show when we
Yeah,
talked about doing the entire intro in Nell speak?
I was going to, and I had even like practiced it, like figured out how Nell speak works. I had figured out the syllables I wanted to say, but then as the moment came for me to like say hello, I completely forgot everything I had tried. And it's like I didn't actually like write it down on my notes or anything, so I was just left in the dark.
It
It,
happens.
it happens. It's stage fright.
Yeah. Anything else on the Gruffalo? That's not my place to say. This is your podcast. I'm sorry.
You take over. Go ahead, read out the next
I'm
plot
sorry.
description.
I'm
Why
sorry.
not?
Fuck.
But
Oh God.
this the Gruffalo is a good short film. I am glad it was nominated, but I hate what it's wrought.
You, it sounded
Anything
like
else
you
you'd
said
like to say about the Gruffalo?
it sounded like you said Der Gruffalo, like this is like a German silent
Der
movie from the
Gruffalo.
1920s. Der Gruffalo.
You know, I wonder what Christoph would think if it was called Der Gruffalo. It's like
Oh
he
God.
might like it more because I know he hates
Mate.
this.
Sorry, Christoph.
Anyway, I think that's a good place to move on.
Yeah.
Uh, Our fourth
Jesus.
nominee is Let's Pollute, directed by Jifui Bodo. This is the first and only nomination for Bodo. He was a Cal Arts graduate in the late 80s, and from there started working at Disney right before the start of the Disney Renaissance. While he was happy to work there for the time, he always wanted to eventually move on to his own animation studio. He did animation work on nearly every Disney feature film up to Hunchback of Notre Dame before leaving Disney and moving over to Pixar, doing visual development on many films, most notably A Bug's Life and Monsters Inc., even designing the title for Monsters Inc., as well as some animation direction. He then left Pixar in 2002 to become a freelance animator. In this period, he created his two most notable works. First is a children's book called Arrowville, about a city of arrows and the family of targets that moves into it. And then there's Let's Pollute, the Oscar nominee at hand. This was the culmination of what Bodo had wanted to do since starting his animation career. He wanted to make a film with a message, and he wanted to do it with some flair. He had a wide range of ideas, but environmentalism was the most topical one in the late 2000s, so he took an environmental message and fitted it into a parody of 1950s educational films. It was finally a chance for him to make something he wanted to make. The film was largely made by himself with no outside funding for the first 2.5 years of production, and only being able to manage some support during the post-production phase in order to get him across the finish line. After completion and after the Oscar nomination, things were looking hopeful for Bodo, and he even stated at the time that he wanted to make two sequel shorts, Peace is for Sissies and Try Ignorance, both invoking a similar style and tone. However, neither of those shorts have been made, and Let's Pollute remains his only directorial effort. Instead, Bodo has continued as a freelance visual development artist and title designer, working on Freebirds, The Boss Baby, Spies in Disguise, and Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. He also
Oh
teaches
boy.
animation at the California College of the Arts. No, not Cal Arts. That's the Institute of the Arts. This is different. But let's just stop dilly-dallying and get to the film. Let's Pollute is a 50s style satirical PSA encouraging the viewer to pollute, consume, and waste as much as possible in order to destroy Mother Nature once and for all. Uh, I liked it. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's a good film. I it's not anything new. Like we have pretty much a very similar film that was made in like 1960s called What on Earth. It, and it's like it's an alien view of like Earth. I guess it's not the same thing. It's not like a pollution message. Although there's another one called like Automania 2000 that is like an environmental message. But anyway, uh this isn't anything new, but it's fun. I like it. It has some good jokes in there. It's a good time. And it's short
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. It's a fun little short. I like the animation style, the like crayon style sort of coloring in. It definitely adds to the grungy feel of the short that makes it like a little bit retro and a little bit modern and a little bit like, you know, like I mean, it's poking fun very clearly at that style of PSA and it has a lot of fun with the constraints of that genre and the narration style and just the little visual gags you can throw in there. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good little short that like never feels, I mean, it's very clearly a message short and it's not trying to hide that, and it doesn't feel like it's talking down to you, even though the whole premise of it is a very condescending like voice
Mhm.
by design. Like it definitely feels like it is it's not making fun of you
Yeah.
as an audience member, even though because it's also
It
it's
expects you to
aware
be
of
in on the joke.
yes, it doesn't it's not trying to shame you. It's not trying to be like, oh, you stupid fucking consumerist, like for eating food and for driving a car. Like it's not going to that degree, but it's like, be conscious about your decisions and your the repercussions of your actions, while also like it is a short that's not misdirected in its anger. Because it certainly is not like, oh, the individual is the problem in the environmental issue. Like it's very much still throwing a lot of it on corporations
Yeah.
and on capitalism as a general idea, which was refreshing because very often these can be like trying to guilt the individual while not at all addressing that a vast majority of environmental issues stem from corporations, and the short does a good job of handling the message.
Mhm.
Feels
Or
responsible in
or
that way.
even worse, where it's just like, damn, it sucks that the world is terrible now. If only there was something that we could do to help it.
Yeah.
Oh well. It's like because
Yes.
that is like a lot of environmental films I see where it's just like anyway,
We fucked it. Too bad. The end. Like it's not that.
yeah,
It's a good short. I liked it.
it is a good short. And I want to say it's like when I was looking at letterbox reviews and stuff, I saw multiple people compare it to like Adam McKay movies, and it's just like, what are you talking about? It's just like I one like I imagine it's like it's comparing it to like Don't Look Up or like Vice. It's just like
Come
where's the
on.
similarity outside of having a message? It's
Yeah, I
just
don't
like
know. Yeah.
Letterbox reviews are stupid
Yeah.
sometimes.
Not everyone is smart.
No,
Not everyone is good at media the fucking word I'm trying to say.
analysis
Analysis, yeah. Some people are just not built for that, and a lot of those people are on Letterboxd.
or media literacy.
Media literacy, that's the one. That's the thing. It really
Uh,
goes to show that I have media literacy. Uh,
I mean that's not what media literacy means though. Like it's
that's
about
true.
like understanding your thing, and it's like
That's true. I
you
was
can be
right.
bad at words. It's
I,
okay.
I I was right. I actually was right to begin with. Thank you. Um, yeah, no, there's this is there's good little segments throughout this short. It's a what, 6 minute short that
Yeah.
has several like individual segments that it goes on that none of them feel too long or too like it's drawing out the joke far too long.
Hmm.
It's tight for what it packs a lot of jokes in there, and it doesn't feel overstuffed either. It doesn't feel too dense. It's a very well composed this little piece. I like the bit of a waste it, want it, and they do a little jingle in there for the concept of waste it, want it.
Hmm.
Um, it's good little jokes. Like back in the day, even though like we didn't know how to pollute that well, but then came machines, and
Hmm.
machines took a lot of pollution to make and a lot of pollution to operate. But even then, we still had some issues. Like we were still fixing broken items and women wearing shoes more than once.
Or only oh yeah, more than once. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also like the rules of twos, and it's just like buy twice as much as you need. You just like waste twice as much as you did the day before. It's just like a
And don't think twice about doing it.
don't think twice. Yeah, it's a
It's
very
good.
good. It's just a very solid, funny short film, and
It's
it's like
well written. It's well
mhm,
written for what it is. And it's not just the writing either. Like there's a lot of really good visual gags. The like uh follow corporations because corporations know what to do, and it's the guy with dollar sign eyes leading a pack of blind men in suits, and he jumps up to a platform called Profits, and all the guys in suits fall directly into gears that crush them up,
grind them up.
and then put them into little like jugs of stuff to go out and sell. Like it's a very good little like
That
easy visual metaphor, but like well done.
that
It's a
was
well done
that
visual.
did stick out for me. But I
Yeah.
also like the one bit where it's like I think the narrator says something like it's like make sure you like throw it out properly or make sure you put it in the right bin. And it's like the guy walks up to some recycle bins confused. And then it's just like, huh? And it's like, but then it pans over to just a garbage can and he puts everything in there, including the
Including the
recycle
bins.
bins.
That was like when you said like if you didn't bring that up that right then that was going to be the next one I was going to bring up as in terms of like visual gags that stand out. That's a good one. That's a good
Mhm.
little yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a good short. It's a good fun short. I understand entirely why this one got nominated. It stands out as a
Hmm.
short.
I
It
did.
does get negative points on my list because while I was watching it, there was a stink bug that got on me in bed, and that was unsettling. So negative points for Let's Pollute for that.
I mean the stink bug wants you to stink up the world.
Yeah. Uh, what else in here? Environment restrictions being depicted as a dragon that chokes the smokestacks. Uh, uh, there's a like never eat anything organic, and the guy tries to eat an apple and there's a worm sticking out of it, and then at the end of that sequence it cuts back to him trying to eat an apple, and the worm now has like two extra like mutated heads poking out,
Oh, I
and
didn't
one of them
notice
is
that one.
dead. Yeah. Is just a good little that's what happens when you eat more processed foods is where it helps you kill the environment that way. With the right mindset anything can be disposable. uh don't get yourself down, think progressively, you could always care less. Uh like never say you could care like I could care less. You can always care less about things. This
That
is,
one's a good one, yeah.
this is
And I
good.
like the First, I like the bit where it's just like there's this like view of a city, and it's just like we could turn the world from this into this. And it's like, and there's this one fish that's like jumping out of a river or whatever, and then when it turns to the polluted city, it like immediately turns into just like fish bones or whatever, and just
Yeah,
falls back into the lake.
it's
Like,
good.
and also, and speaking of fish, there's a point where it's like I forget what the context of the joke was, but it's like there's all these fish that become like poison, and where they kill all the fish. The family eats all the fish, and then the family dies because it's poisoned fish.
Yeah,
It's just like there's just a lot of good gags in here. It's just like
it's very dense. It's very densely packed with jokes without feeling overstuffed. Like I said, it's a good one. I
it's
I just keep saying this is good,
it's
but
a good film. Yeah, it's
it's good.
and I'm just mad we couldn't get Pieces for Sissies or
Yeah,
Try Ignorance.
those are both. I would really like to see what he would have done. And also, I just want uh, more chances for there to be Academy Award announcing. Well, I guess they don't announce the names of the
They do.
animators, but like at the awards, but like for the nominations announcement, like
Oh, okay.
I just want more people to try to say Gifwi Bodo at the
Gifwi
Oscars.
Bodo.
Gifwi. Sorry, I said it wrong. Uh, that's a good name. It's a
It
good
is.
name for an Oscar nominee. It's up there with a Florian Dankel von Hammersmark or whatever his name is.
And Dick Poop.
Yeah, Dick Poop.
That'll forever be my favorite Oscar moment of any of them.
As one of my favorite moments, just like period in history.
Forget the Moonlight mix up. It's like Dick Poop is where it's at.
It sure is. Clip that, clip that audio, someone. Dick Poop is where it's at.
I mean, I would say that anyway.
Fair, fair.
But yeah, it's God. And anything else you'd like to say about Let's Pollute?
I don't think so. It's fun. It's a good one.
All right, then we'll move on to our fifth and final nominee, which is Madagascar, A Journey Diary, unrelated to the DreamWorks films, directed by Bastien Dubois. This is the first and only nomination for Dubois, though he was shortlisted in 2020. We go from someone who graduated from college in the 80s to someone who was born in 1983. Dubois is a French animator who, with a penchant for traveling, it was hitchhiking from France to Istanbul that gave him the idea for making an animated travelogue. But of course, it was a year-long trip to Madagascar that provided the basis of today's Oscar nominee. The film was made with a variety of animation styles and techniques, ranging from 3D computer graphics to hand-painted watercolors and charcoal drawings, to give the film a haphazard sketchbook type of feel to it. The idea for Madagascar specifically came from Dubois hearing about Famadihana, also called the turning of the bones, where the citizens bring their dead relatives out of their tombs, wrap them in new cloths, and write their names on the new cloths so that they may be remembered forever. Beyond Madagascar, Dubois has made two other films, Cargo Cult and Souvenir, both of them being more story-based and historical rather than the travelogue form Madagascar, and the latter being his aforementioned shortlisted film. And that's all I can really find with regards to Dubois, so let's check out the film. Madagascar, A Journey Diary is a taste of the culture of Madagascar as Bastien Dubois heads to the Famadihana, seeing the different people he encounters and experiencing it through his eyes. Gordon, what did you think of Madagascar, A Journey Diary?
I liked it. There's not as much of a story to it, by virtue of the fact that it's more of a travel diary, as the title would suggest, than it is like an actual story. But the animation and specifically the ways that the animation moves and changes so fluidly from moment to moment, like within the same scene, is what makes it interesting. And the animation is so good that it makes the entirety of it interesting and justified. Like I didn't need for you could do an entire, maybe not a whole feature, I mean, you could do a whole storyless feature that's just showing off all of these different animation techniques and styles, and it would be interesting. It would be, or it could be, and it wouldn't inherently be, but I think he does a good job of making it interesting and making that lack of story still feel really compelling just by the animation itself. It is really like uh, I don't know, justification for animation that seems like I'm putting too much weight on it, but it's good. I really appreciated it artistically.
I was a bit mixed on it. It's just like on the one hand, it's like I did really like the whole structure of it. I like the bit of a freeform style. Oh, I really like the music in it because like I was reading in the like behind the scenes stuff that's like it was like real like Madagascar musicians and that were and like they had to like take them on like an hour, 2 hour long car ride to a different town in order to get them to a recording studio to record the music and everything. And when they were going to the premiere of it, that was also in another town. The musicians thought they were just going to another recording session, and it's just like, and also at the screening for it, there was something wrong with the projector, and so the musicians just performed an impromptu session just like while they waited for the projector to go up. It was a lot of fun with them. Um, but it's just like part of me just like it felt just very light. It's just
Yeah.
like there just wasn't anything really there, especially since we are looking at it through Dubois' perspective. It's like he doesn't really, he doesn't give us much about like Madagascar culture or anything. It's like it's just like it's more free form, which again just like attributes it to like the film style and stuff, but also it's like I'm not learning anything here. It's just like it's just a vibe for a moment. And it's
Yeah.
like that which yeah, that could be just the whole point of it. But at the same time, like maybe I want more. And in terms of the animation, I do like in theory like the differing styles, like the sudden switch from this style, going back and forth everywhere. But the thing is, I hate the way the 3D animation looks in this. And
Yeah.
so every time we go back to that, it just takes me off it. It's just like, hate it, get it away. And then it's like we go back to the watercolors or the charcoal drawings, and it's like, yeah, that's fun. But then it goes back to like the weird rotoscope, and it's just like, don't like that. And it's just like half the animation is ugly, half the animation's really cool. And it's just like I don't like just suddenly going back and forth between it when it's just like I don't like half the animation.
Yeah. I liked it at least when it was like when the pages were turning in the book and you have like the 3D look into the book and into like the pages as they're turning and like the 3D is like rising off of the pages. I liked that part of the 3D, but like when it's the people, it is a bit jarring, kind of.
Yeah, it's just a very mixed film, and it's just like I want to like it, and I think I do like it, like even like it a little bit, but it's just like it's just it's got all these little irks, and it's like I wish it could have been a bit more than what it is. But then again, it's just like I shouldn't expect the film to be something it's not. I should just like appreciate what it's doing. If it's just like what is it even doing? It's just like I don't know. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's all entirely fair.
And
I don't have much more to say
yeah,
about
there
it.
just isn't really much to say about it anyway, because it is that's part of the problem. There just isn't much here. It's just but it's like again, I appreciate how it's like trying to capture a moment. It's trying to capture this town, this whole event, like in a cinematic form, like without like a specific plot or without narration and things like that. It's just trying to capture it cinematically, and like it does do that. But also, it's just like I feel like it just feels like there should be more, but also doesn't want to be more, and it shouldn't be more. But it's just like it's so like it's hard to really get like a real opinion out of this because it's like
Yeah.
there's all these different parts of me are just like contradicting each other, and it's like I don't really know how I feel about this.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah,
I don't have anything else more to say about it than that, honestly.
uh, it, and I feel like we should say more, but also there isn't much more to say. I
Yeah,
don't want to
that's
end it here, but also there's nothing else to say.
yeah,
There's
it's a
just
shame.
nothing else to say. And now that we've talked about and gone through the five nominees, let's rank them all as well as Richard Jewell. Gordon, start us off with your number six.
My number six is The Lost Thing. Uh, didn't really like it. I liked parts of it, but like ultimately it's just a pretty forgettable like it's the most confusing as to why it's here, and also Richard Jewell. And I just don't have anything else on it, truly.
My number six is The Lost Thing. I just like I liked it, but also it just feels so vague and generic and empty. It's just like it should have been something better, but it just wasn't. And it's just like, why did it win? I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Number five.
Number five is why don't number five is Richard Jewell, a bit that we proposed a while ago, and I don't know if we can sustain it, but Clint Eastwood's Richard Jewell, 2019, better than The Lost Thing.
Oh, yeah, my number five is also Richard Jewell. Like I always really enjoy Richard Jewell, like kind of like Madagascar Journey Diary. It's a very contradictory movie. Hey, where it's just like there are parts of it that are really good, really great. Like I love Paul Walter Hauser and Kathy Bates and Sam Rockwell in it. But there's also these weird parts. Like I don't like the John Hamm and Olivia Wilde storylines. And it's just like it's a mixed bag. But it's like in terms of Clint Eastwood movies, it's a solid entry. And I'm glad Kathy Bates got nominated for it. Number four.
Number four is the Gruffalo, which is good and fun, and I like the voice performance,
Voice performance.
voice. I like the voice. I like the voice performances in it.
You
I
like
thought
the
everyone
Jiffy
did a good.
Bodo.
Yes, the GP Bodo voice. We still have
The
a whole recording.
voice.
So Gruffalo. Um,
My number four is Madagascar Journey Diary. It's like I said, I just so conflicted on it. And it's like I know I like it at the very least. I know it's a good movie. But it's just like there's all these little things that are irking me about it, but there's a lot of things I really like about it. I can't really make heads or tails of it. I think I need to like come back to it in like a year and just like see how it's evolved for me.
yeah.
Number three.
My number three is Madagascar: A Journey Diary, which I give the bump over the Gruffalo if just because the animation is so compelling and the Gruffalo doesn't really have that visual aspect to it. And the Gruffalo has the story aspect, but I don't, not that I don't care about the story, but like if we're talking about best animated short, I know it's not a I know best describes short in that and not animated. It's not talking about what is the best animated short. But did that make sense of what I was trying to say there? Like it's
Yes.
not about the best animation, it's about the best short that is animated.
Yes.
But I do think having such a distinct visual style gives it that extra boost for me.
Uh, my number three is the Gruffalo because I just liked it more. And it's like, yeah, it's like I get that like Madagascar Journey Diary is doing a lot more interesting stuff with it. It's a lot more of a unique film. But the Gruffalo, it was cute. I liked it. I liked it more. It gave me a better experience overall. Gruffalo, Thug Ruffalo.
Thug Ruffalo is my
Exactly.
number 2.5. Just
Yeah.
because Mark Ruffalo is so good as Mark Ruffalo, the thug, in Thug Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a top seven with five nominees.
exactly. No.
What's your number two?
My number two is Day and Night. And before we talked about these, I had an entirely different ranking for the top three. But talking about them and just sitting on them more, I switched things up. So maybe ask me a different time and I would give you a different ranking here. But Day and Night for my number two. It's sweet, it's cute, it's in and out. It gives you it justifies its existence as a short. It gives you a premise and then delivers on that premise in a lot of different interesting ways, and it's a good time.
Well, you might be confused. This is not In and Out. This is Day and Night.
Did I
Uh,
say in and out or
I was making a joke
oh
because you
no,
said
yes,
you're saying like as a descriptor, like it's In and Out.
yes, you're right,
But
you're
I'm
right.
just like, no, that's the 1997 Kevin Kline movie. This is Day and Night. Just so you're
Yes,
clear.
we might as well just keep ranking as whatever movie. What do you have any other movies you want to throw on this list?
But if we want to rank Day and Night, or I mean In and Out,
I haven't seen in and out yet. I'll do it on my show eventually, but I haven't seen it yet.
I'm surprised you haven't done it yet. I feel like that would have been one of the first ones people picked
Pe
out.
People have mentioned doing it and reserved it or like talked about wanting to do it, but I just no one has picked it yet as like their one to do.
But yeah,
Yeah.
if I was ranking In and Out, though, I think I would place it below the Gruffalo and above Madagascar Journey Diary. But
Fair.
anyway, my number two is Let's Pollute, which is just a solid, funny, good short film. And it's just like I'm glad it was nominated. And it's like I'm glad that you loved it so much that
I
you
don't even
immediately
think I
had to
did.
reserve it as this like you killed multiple people just so you could get this spot.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. That part is true. Um,
And what's your number one?
my number one is Let's Pollute, which I went into this being like, why, like, I didn't think I had that strong of feelings about Let's Pollute. And then even like before we started recording, this was my like, I had it at number three, and then talking about it more, getting more into the jokes, I had the best time of these five talking about it, and I had the most things, like specific moments from it that I wanted to mention. And like that goes a long way. And I ended like it's my number one in this category. It's a lot of fun. It's got good jokes. It has something to say and says it in a way that is effective and not condescending. And
Mhm.
and the animation is also very good and not particularly flashy, but like is it's well done
Mhm.
artistically.
And my number one is Day and Night, which is this used to be a 4.5 for me, but now it's just a 4. But I still just think this is just a great Pixar short, one of their best. It is solid, it is funny, it is quick, it just does everything a short film needs to do and gets it done efficiently. And it is just a great example of like how to make your point and just do it well. It's just like do it without wasting the audience's time. It is perfect. Not
Totally.
perfect, but it's good. It's really
Yeah.
good. Very good. Better than Richard Jewell.
Better than Richard Jewell.
Yeah. So that's it. That's our top eight now, I guess.
Yeah. Top seven for me. I haven't seen it now.
Oh yeah. But
I mean, I've
uh
also not seen the Thug Ruffalo, so but
yeah.
that's still on my ranking. What am I
But
talking about?
but no one's seen it, so it's like it's fine. It's whatever.
That's true. No one's seen it yet.
Yeah. It's like we're
Food,
going to
food for thought.
kidnap Mark Ruffalo and be like, hey, we're gonna make this movie, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna call Mark Ruffalo a bitch to his face.
That
That's my
that's why
mission
he became
statement
a
from this
thug.
episode. Yeah, because he got called a bitch. It's a inside Llewyn Davis type thing. That's not how that movie goes.
What?
It's a because it's a time loop. Like because that movie ends with the same thing, right? It's like
What?
a it's like an implied time loop in Inside Llewyn Davis where he gets beat up in the alleyway at the beginning and then at the end, and it's like a thematic thing that the Coens are Inside Llewyn Davis. That's my number one of this list, actually. There we go. What
Okay.
are we doing here?
I I don't think like Inside Llewyn Davis is an implied time loop.
It's not a literal time loop, but it's one of those Coen brothers like we're gonna fuck with the audience with an ending that's like ambiguous and it's I this is not just me like other people have talked about this
Okay.
being a
I
thing
I
about that
just
movie.
don't care about Inside Llewyn Davis that much.
Well, that's fair.
Inside Llewyn Davis might be my last place. It might be it's definitely below Richard Jewell, but it
Wow. Hot
it
take.
might be above Lost Thing. I'm not sure.
Hot take here on this our Valentine's Day episode.
It's not even a Valentine's Day episode. Actually,
It's we're recording on Valentine's Day.
yeah, but it's like it's coming out afterwards. It's gonna
Yeah,
come out on February 22nd.
right. Right. For some reason I was thinking these ones were going up tomorrow, but no, I have another one that I've recorded that's going up tomorrow. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? Are we done
We're
here?
done. We're just like going over our list. You were bringing up Inside Llewyn Davis for some reason.
I guess.
Because of Thug Ruffalo for some reason.
Hey, thanks for listening, everyone.
Uh Nikki Deuce. But before we end our show, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share, Gordon, or anything you'd like to promote?
I'll promote my show if you want to go listen to more of this energy. It's the Lone Acting Nominees podcast. You can find it on Twitter and Letterboxd at Lone Acting Noms and on Instagram at the Lone Acting Nominees.
All right. Well, thank you, Gordon, for coming on the show. And thank you, listener, for tuning in. This has been the Short Podcast about short films. Until next time, goodbye.